Mow that swamp before it brings rats into my yard. The water is coming from your fence line, not hers. I did not hire you to blame me.
Your new drain points straight into my grass.
Maybe your yard is just as weak as you are.
My husband kept this yard dry for 30 years.
A ruined yard does not always mean someone stopped caring. Sometimes it means someone else kept sending damage over the fence. Alice was a 74-year-old widow whose backyard had turned into a muddy swamp after her angry neighbor Carl remodeled his property and secretly redirected water toward her fence. Everyone thought Alice had stopped caring for the lawn, but Caleb the lawn guy noticed the ground was soaked even though it had not rained for days. And when he pulled back the wet grass, he found a black drainage pipe hidden under the fence line. That pipe changed everything. Carl tried to pretend he did not know where it came from, but the water was still dripping from it while he stood there denying it. Caleb asked Alice if the pipe had always been there. She shook her head and said her husband George had built the drainage on their side himself, and nothing ever emptied into that corner before Carl poured his new patio. Carl snapped that old people forgot things. Caleb ignored him and followed the pipe with his eyes. It ran under the fence, hidden behind Carl's new concrete border. A neighbor watching from the porch said Carl's contractor had been digging there 2 months earlier. Carl yelled at him to mind his business. That only made everyone look closer. Caleb asked Carl to open the gate so they could see where the pipe connected. Carl refused. He said nobody was stepping onto his property. Then Alice quietly said she had photos of the yard before the flooding started. She went inside and came back with an old envelope of printed pictures. In one photo, George was standing beside the back fence, holding the green mower, and the corner behind him was dry, flat, and clean. No pipe, no mud, no swamp. In another photo from just last year, Alice was standing by the bushes, and the fence line was still clear. Caleb held the photos beside the pipe, and the difference was obvious. Carl said photos did not prove he installed it. Then Caleb noticed something stamped on the pipe near the opening. It was a contractor label, with the same company name printed on the sign, still sitting in Carl's driveway from the patio remodel. The street went quiet. Carl's face turned red. He said the contractor must have made a mistake. Alice asked why he yelled at her for weeks instead of fixing it. Carl shouted that her yard was already ugly and that the water had to go somewhere. Caleb stood up slowly and said, "Not into hers." For the first time, Carl had no quick answer. A city inspector arrived later that afternoon because Carl himself had filed a complaint about Alice's yard. He expected the inspector to blame her, but Caleb showed the pipe, the soaked ground, the old photos, and the contractor label. The inspector followed the water line and confirmed that Carl's drainage had been directed through the fence, flooding Alice's property. Carl tried to argue that Alice should have mowed around it. Caleb asked how anyone was supposed to mow mud deep enough to trap a mower wheel. The inspector ordered Carl to cap the pipe and reroute the drainage properly.